Hello, I'm your host, Sherrika Hunt, and the Authors Lounge Show is a place where authors share their book, tell their truth, and their story. Welcome to the Authors Lounge Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Authors Lounge Show. I'm your host, Sherrika Hunt Ross. And today's episode is about being a voice to the voiceless. And I have a surprise guest today. So someone you don't expect to be here is here in the building. So stay right there and we'll be right back.
Join me at Collaborate.
Join me at Collaborate.
Join me and hundreds of women at Collaborate.
Welcome back. As you can see, I said a surprise guest, and is the one and only David Austin.
Man, good.
Did you hear all that noise?
Well, I hear it all the time.
Oh, Lord.
In my sleep, when I'm showering, as always, I feel like the crowd is watching. So yeah.
Welcome to the Authors Lounge Show. So now, I get to interview you.
Well, let's give it a shot, Sherrika.
Let's
Let's
try.
see how this goes.
Let's see how this works.
Let's hope I didn't trim my nose hair for nothing.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Okay.
I actually am fortunate enough. I tell people all the time that regardless of what's going on, I feel like I've lived a life that people can envy.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do mean that. I've had a great run, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Not to get so far, early on, but I was actually listening to, believe it or not, a Busta Rhymes song.
Okay.
And he had Louis Farrakhan was speaking at the beginning of the song, and one of the things he said was, if it pleases God that he is killed, then that's all right with him. And I thought about that while I was driving. I said, I feel that same way. If I sacrifice myself somewhere along the way for the greater good, I've had a great run.
Right.
And just to know that about myself.
And it's not over. You saying I had a great run.
Well, I'm just saying in general.
I'm having a great run.
Oh, I am. I'm like the guy that's already done enough to get in the Hall of Fame.
I've
I've done enough to do that. But,
Yeah.
I still got a few home runs left to hit, a few baskets left to score. So with that, but I know that, maybe my greatest accomplishment in that is that if you read or heard tomorrow that I died dragging, kids from a burning building, that wouldn't surprise you.
Right.
That I did that.
Right.
And so that tells me that I've done enough in my life so far that people understand who I am and what it is that I want to be and what I would love to see in the world.
Right. Is being a voice to the voiceless.
Absolutely.
The one and only David Austin. He has done so much. I mean, the list goes really on and on what you have done and being an advocate and a voice and just that person, especially for the youth, first, especially for the victims and the survivors and all of those things, just being that advocate that most people don't know about, that you kind of just, oh.
Well, one of the things that Muhammad Ali would do, he would donate a lot of time, not just his time, but a lot of money.
Right.
And it was a thing to him not to write it off on his taxes because he was like, well, if I do that, then I haven't given anything away.
Right.
There is no sacrifice in that. So for me, I love to see people that are doing good things. I love to see the stuff that you do and others, and I love lending support to that.
Right.
I don't have to have my name on everything. You don't see my name on flyers, but you may see me posting that I was here, that I was there.
Right.
And I say the same thing, if you or someone is in need, then come. If you need it, then come. If you know someone who needs it, then bring them. And if you don't, then count yourself among the fortunate and come help me help somebody else.
Right. So tell us what you've been doing. Go ahead and share.
Man, well, let's start where I am right now.
Right.
Believe it or not, I was working on a project of my own that I was calling the Leave No Doubt Verdict Integrity Project, where my goal was to have individuals to train them in public in private investigation, and have them work with court-appointed attorneys,
Right.
to bridge that gap in services. And so we're so left out.
Right.
We're so left out. And it just so happens that the Public Defender's Office in Harris County was putting together something similar, and they reached out to me. And so that's actually where my time has been, where you guys haven't seen me, is working with individuals who are in custody and their families working through the criminal justice system. Everything from telling you, hey, this is where you park when you come down here.
Right.
And what to expect, what not to expect.
Right.
Simple things to help you deal with the system.
Right.
Because it's about what we call participatory defense, getting defendants involved in their own defense, getting families involved in the defense of their community.
Right.
That thing that we don't do, because it's an intimidating thing to have to deal with the criminal justice system. And I had someone say, well, how bad could it be? I'll say, well, you know what? People go to death row from this building.
Right.
It can absolutely be intimidating.
Right.
And when you are in a system that, let's be honest, is slanted against the black and brown in this country, when you are part of a system that was put together to basically to keep certain individuals in this country where they have always been, then it's going to take someone to break that system. People tell you routinely that the criminal justice system is broken.
Right.
I'm here to tell you it's not broken. It's working exactly the way it was designed. It was put together to build prisons across this country and fill them with individuals that look like me. So it's working just the way that it should. It's running like a Swiss watch.
Yeah.
And so it actually needs to be broken. And that's what I attempt to do on a daily basis.
On a daily basis.
On a daily basis.
That's what you're doing every day.
Last Saturday, I was in a detention center dealing with an individual who is accused of a crime, right? And so I do believe in innocent until proven guilty. That's what it should be.
Right.
And he's being ill-treated in the detention center, right? So here I am on a Saturday dealing with the situation, trying to make sure that this individual gets a fair shake. I'm all for justice and punishment if that be what it is. But let's make it fair. Let's make it fair. Let's do it properly and then do it fair.
Right.
If I have to sacrifice my freedom,
Right.
then that should be the only thing that the system is trying to take from me, not everything else, not my humanity, not my dignity, not my self-respect and things like that. And that is what I work to create.
Public Defender's Office.
Isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
That is kind of cool.
I mean, wow.
I know, right?
Radio.
Wow. All that, all that.
Boxing.
Ooh. Fortunate enough, again, that's why I say I've had a nice run.
Right.
Being able to do some of the things that I enjoy doing. George and Roy Foreman, brothers, obviously everybody knows, the Foreman family when you talk about those type of things. They have an event coming up next month, in September. Is it August yet? No?
No.
Okay, so in September. And they've asked me to be the voice of that particular program. So I'm fortunate enough to have things like that going on as well. For those of you who know anything about Houston and about boxing, Mr. Savannah, the Savannah Gym, everybody who's ever trained here in Houston, has trained and fought there. Well, he passed away a little while ago. And so they're doing a tournament to honor him and his legacy. And they've asked me to be the voice of that. That'll be, 9/11 weekend coming up.
Like how big is that?
So that is cool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm doing work with USA Boxing.
Right.
So the young men and women that you see boxing for Olympic gold right now, I get to call their matches, and know these young men and women personally, and to have an entity like that.
You sent me this video that just kind of blew me away.
Right.
So you're interviewing these young men, and they're we thinking that they're just kids.
Right.
I'm excited.
Right.
I won.
Right.
Normally,
Right.
that's the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't the conversation.
It was the conversation in the beginning, and what Sherrika's talking about is two young men. I was fortunate enough to be a part of USA Boxing's National Junior Olympics and interviewing these young men after they've won gold medals, talking to them about what their inspirations are, and these are fun moments to have this young man says, I want to thank my mom, she's not here. Well, where is mom? And he's like, she's in heaven.
Wow.
And then to talk to another young man just a few minutes later who said that he's here dedicating it to his cousin Ashley, who was murdered like a week ago, shot in the head by her boyfriend, that type of thing. And so these are the things that impact the lives of these individuals outside the ropes and outside the rings. Real life still happens, and we have to be there to put our arms around one another.
Being a voice for the voiceless. And that's what David is doing all over the world. You guys stay right there so you can learn so much more about what David is doing. We'll be right back.
Helping Hand Trucking, LLC, we specialize in fast, reliable delivery services. We also deliver a wide range of freight, moving furniture, and appliance deliveries. If you need assistance with moving, we're here for you. Just give us a call. We are on the move.
And we're back. I'm Sherrika, and this is David Austin. He was just sharing with us about these young men that shared with you about losing their mother and losing their cousin, the cause, the reason.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
I don't want that to sound bad, but it makes me feel good. I don't enjoy, obviously, those things.
Right.
We don't want to see that, but if you see the interview with those young men, and even as they are sharing with me the most traumatic things that they've dealt with in their lives so far, we still finish with a smile on their faces. They're still laughing when this is done. And, you know, and that first kid, he grabbed me so tight when I got down on my knees to hug him. You know, it means something. You know, I was fortunate enough to be in Jasper, you know, at some point, speaking with a group about violence in the community and how we need to step up the if you see something, say something mentality, in which we need to do a better job of helping to police our own communities. But there was a gentleman there who had lost his 10-year-old son. And after this was all over, I didn't know who the gentleman was, but it was just the way that he was looking at me as I was speaking that just seemed like there was something that was on this man's heart. So I went over to the gentleman and I introduced myself, thanked him for coming out and for allowing me to be there. And as I'm shaking his hand, it's like he wouldn't let my hand go. So I actually had to pull his hand off of mine, right? And when I did that, then I opened my arms and that young man grabbed me and cried in my arms there, right in front of the, you know, the courthouse steps in Jasper, you know, thinking about his son. So to be that thing
for somebody,
for someone, you know, and that's something that people have. It is everything. We are born to serve. We are born into service of others. And so that's one of those things that for me, you know, I feel like I understand that. And it matters so much. And you can't help everyone. You can't save everyone. I certainly understand that. But when the day comes, Sherrika, when that day comes, if I am standing before my maker, whomever that may be, if I'm asked the question of what did I do, I can honestly look at that entity and say, I did what I could. And that's got to be a good enough answer for whoever you pray to.
Where did that come from?
Oh man, my parents.
Yeah, I knew.
My parents and grandparents. My grandfather, we were fortunate enough to have him stay with us for a time before he passed away. And we never ate a hot meal while he was there because he prayed for 20 minutes. You know. Yeah. I'm surprised I didn't catch something for that. You know, it was horrible. You know, never ate. I mean, he ruined a big part of my childhood, Sherrika. And
therapy. Go ahead.
You know, and so, but he would be so proud to sit in front of us and say that I made this possible. Family was such a big thing to him. You know, I made this possible. These are my children and my grandchildren. I mean, it was such a big thing to him. Same as with my father and my mother. And so it's with that, but they also made sure that they taught us that our family is not just within these walls. As a community, we are family. You know, we have to be that. And it doesn't matter who you are, you know, you can do that. It doesn't matter what you're going through, you can do that. I had a business at one point that I operated. I had someone helping me operate it, and they did some things that we weren't supposed to do. He did some things we weren't supposed to do. We ran as a business afoul of the law. And then that became my responsibility because it was my company. Lack of oversight. So here I am downtown in that same building that I'm in now,
Wow.
going into the courtroom, being accused of theft of millions of dollars,
Right.
right? Telling me they offered me 20 years to settle this situation.
Wow.
I could not believe what was happening.
Right.
I walk out of the courtroom, I'm going to my car where I parked down the street, and this is surreal. I'm like, what the heck?
Right.
And there's a gentleman who's sitting on the ground. He asked if I have any change that he could have.
Yeah.
So I stick my hand in my pocket and I give him a buck, and I walk a couple of steps. I stop, I turn around, I take the dollar from him, and I give him a 20. Right?
Yeah.
I've never given anybody, in that situation that much before.
Right.
Right? I mean, I give to people routinely.
Right.
But I'd never given that much before, because I made it a point to say, this is my lowest moment right now. I'm sitting there having the worst day I've ever had in my life, and I'm going to be more to somebody in this moment than I've ever been. Don't tell me you can't help somebody.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you're going through.
Regardless
I
of
know
the
you can.
situation. Yeah.
I don't know what he did with that money. He was sure glad to get it. He lit up like a Christmas tree. He did. I started to take it back, he bought alcohol.
I'm just
with the money.
saying, he probably did.
Probably
He
got
probably, we
high.
don't know.
I should have. They just tried to give me 20 years. I should have sat and smoked with him for a minute.
20 years, you should have smoked
Man, we
with
should have
him.
got blazed together. Man, scoot over.
But to say you're full circle.
Right.
Full circle that
Right.
you was in that same system.
Right.
That now you're working
I've had
in and for.
I've had the occasion already in the short time that I've been doing this to go into that same courtroom, 185,
Yeah.
on the 17th floor of that building, and help a family
To be
through
a
this
voice
situation.
for somebody else.
Have to.
Yeah.
And no matter what you're going through, you can do that. And if we just remember that about ourselves, we could change so much.
It sounds great.
It is great.
Yeah.
It doesn't just sound great.
Yeah.
It's not like the pictures on the menu when you get it to your table and it don't look like, it doesn't just sound great. It is great because it's fulfilling. And when you have those moments, you should understand. And I don't throw God around as much as others
Right.
But
As much as
but
you
you help you who
Go.
it helps you to understand the purpose and the reason as to why if you don't understand. That's who we should be as people.
Right.
If you think it makes more sense, that your money looks better in your driveway or around your neck or on your finger
Right.
than it does in service of others, then you're missing out on something. If you think it looks better on your feet or wherever, if you think your money and your time is better there
Right.
than it is in service of others, if you think it makes more sense to work yourself to death so that you can put $500 shoes on the feet of your children because we're dressing their outside so much more than we prepare their inside, then you are missing the point.
That's a lot. That y'all just get all of that information, that you just get that impact that he just put on you. Really, you're missing the point if you think that's all it takes, because it's so much more. It's so much. It's so bigger than that.
It is.
Thank you for being here. Really, really, just for giving us that information. You guys stay right there. We'll be right back.
Effervescent personality. It's more than just your classy way. Like a jazzy melody. You look is so irresistible. Oh, you make me smile. You're truly original. Always worth the while. And I like your inside style.
The Hat Store is a shop in Houston, Texas that sells formal hats, western hats, cufflinks, wallets, and belt buckles. But they do so much more than just sell hats. They can custom make your hat any way you want it. You can choose everything from the color and style to any accessories you want added to your hat. Then using steam and irons, the shop shapes the hat to fit your request. The Hat Store has been a locally owned and family-run business here in Houston since the opening of Melina's Cantina in 1941, and their legacy is still going strong. If you're interested in supporting the Hat Store by making a purchase, you can visit thehatstore.com to see and shop all of their products.
Welcome back. to my favorite part of the show, which I know is your favorite part of the show, right? Because you watched the show, right?
Oh man!
And if you watched the show, you would know
right?
that this is We Better Together.
So I shouldn't turn around and read what's up there.
No,
because we know what's back there, America.
That's right. We know that we are better together. I know I started with you when I decided to write this book, and I know you have several copies of the book.
Yes.
So I won't give you another copy.
Oh, I've read it many times, America. You know, light reading. I mean, it keeps me balanced.
Right. But since you are not an author, but I wanted you on the show because you have so much that you give to other people, and that's what I'm about, always giving back. You always helping somebody, you always, and it's not always by yourself. You always doing it with somebody, helping somebody. I see you. David's with this person, he's with this person. And so we are better together. Miss Criswell did leave her book, and I would like you to take that book, and
this one?
That one right there, and bless somebody with this book. You don't have to move it right now.
Is it there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But in saying that, since you don't have a book, but it's inside of you,
right?
Give it to the people.
That we're better together. Well, I mean, it's such an obvious thing. You know, 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 are 4, and we are better together. I've never watched a movie that I thought was great and said, man, it would have been so much better if I could have been here by myself. I've never had a meal that I truly enjoyed and felt that it would have been better if I had been here alone. Right. We are designed to be with one another and for one another. You know, life is just that simple.
Right.
And we have the ability, no matter what, to change the life. You never know where you come across someone in life and what that means. I routinely have people reach out to me on social media telling me about the time when I met them and what it meant to them, the thing that I said or the thing that I did. Yeah. There's so many people that are doing good things. That's why I don't do as much with my name on it, because we should prop one another up. There's no need for you and I to do the same thing across the street from one another. Right. How about we get together and make that happen? You know, there's a reason why, and I don't want to go too far. You know, I know we have a limited amount of time, but there's a reason why churches don't get burned down anymore, because they don't do in them the things that we used to do as a community. It's not necessary, you know, to stop it. We've already stopped. We've given away. Power is not something that is taken from you, Sherrika. It's something that you have to give away. And we do that when we don't stand together. There's a reason why, you know, mittens are warmer than gloves, because those fingers are in there together. There's a reason why you can do more damage with a fist than with an open hand. There's a reason why those things are that way, because when we are together, we're so much stronger.
We're better together.
We're absolutely better together.
And that's why. Stay right there, and we'll be right back.
Cassandra Scott. She's motivating, inspiring, and empowering. Birth your brilliance in industry and ministry. Pastor, author, and intercessor. Private coaching is available. Take control. Transform your life. You are created to produce. Dr. Sandra Scott, pastor, founder of Turning Point Faith Ministry.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm still here with David Austin. He just gave you a mouthful, I guess, about being better together. So tell us, how can they contact you? How can we get in contact with you?
Well, the easiest way is to reach out to me on social media, Twitter and Instagram. The handles are the same, INV David P. You know, that's all you have to do is reach out. That's plenty. That's all right there. I mean, 'cause there's so much that we're going to do. Right. I hate that I didn't have all of that for you now because, you know, I have a PR team now who's doing things. Oh, yeah, they're putting together websites and making videos.
A diamond in the rough management?
You know, and as I recommend the diamond in the rough for everyone out there, you know, America, by the way, you know, I mean, you can't go wrong.
You can't
go
with that.
Wrong. You know, some of my favorite media personalities, you know, have diamond in their titles.
In a rough management.
Exactly. That's the one.
LLC, be clear.
I envy David P., ladies and gentlemen. You know, there's so much that we're going to do. The young men that we mentioned earlier in the program, we're going to do a lot for those boxers. Right. And so you want to reach out and become a part of that, you certainly can.
Sponsorship.
Absolutely. We'll be in Shreveport, Louisiana in December with these young men and women fighting boxing to represent America as a part of the national team. So those types of things, and we're going to sponsor some of these young men and women to come and be a part of that. And it's exciting to do that kind of stuff. We're better together.
I know we're better together. So let the people know, being a voice to the voiceless, what does that mean to you? Just give them a little exit out. You know,
it means everything. I mean, whether that be from standing up for someone who can't stand up for themselves, right. Whether that be, you know, whether you're talking about in a courtroom, you know, on a street corner, whether that means being support. You know, if I can do it quickly enough, my mother, one of my favorite stories about my mom is we were going to this Dale Bakery, Mrs. Bear's Dale Bakery on here in the neighborhood. And one day I'm with her. She goes into the store. I stay in the car. There's a young girl standing in front of the store. As my mom walks by, the little girl says something to her. My mom walks in, comes out, says something to the girl, puts our bags in the car, goes back in the store, comes out, gives the girl a bag, and the girl runs away. And so my mom gets in the car. I said, what was that? She said, when I was walking in, the girl asked me if I had any change, so she wanted something to eat. My mom said she went in and got our stuff, and on the way out, she stopped and said, how many people are at your house? Oh. Wow. The little girl told her how many people at the house. My mom went in and bought enough for everybody. That's what was in the bag, and the little girl took off. That right there.
It's what it's about.
I saw that as a child, knowing how much we did and didn't have, but she was still able to be that. And it taught me that the things that I had an abundance of, the true wealth that I was born with, my true inheritance, were the things that they poured into me that made me, you know, who I am. And that was more.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much more.
While you can envy, you know, what a person has. Yeah. If you want to envy David Austin, you're gonna have to envy who I am.
Yeah. Well, you've said a mouthful. I just feel like everything we do, like you said, we're here to serve. So everything that you've been, you know, doing and everything I'm trying to do is not for us.
No.
It's always for somebody else.
You think Martin Luther King couldn't have been, he would have been all right. Yeah, he'd have been okay if he was just looking out for himself.
Yeah, it's always for somebody else. And if we just start being like that, we'll be a better place. It'll be a better place. Right. Thank you again for being here. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Arthur's Lounge Show. I'm your host, Sherrika Hunt Ross. It's been great.
Wear your mask, wash your hands, stay away from me. What else? You got anything?
I'm good. Thank you guys.